All right.
Ask me the question, it's easy.
Okay. What does a baseball, the Ibaka Baseball Academy mean to the country of Nicaragua?
Well, as you know, because you've been here several times, baseball is the national sport here. They love baseball, and they play it. They play with a lot of heart and a lot of determination, but without a lot of equipment and without a lot of formal training. So an academy will provide the better players with this kind of training, and not just baseball training, because it'll be academic as well. So that is also important. And of course, for those who make professional baseball, the minor leagues or the major leagues, it's a great thing for them and for their community. But it also gives hope to all the other kids that devote hours and hours a day playing ball. It's healthy, it's good, and frankly, as the American ambassador here, and from a selfish perspective, I think it really helps the image of the United States. And I think that's important as well. It shows Americans down here playing our national sport, teaching them our national sport, and giving them an opportunity to play our national sport while educating them. So it's very important.
What about the importance of people, you know, because it is the nonprofit doing what basically all of us, like, of having these American philanthropists and people who are giving to help out down here? How's that going to help relationship, and how, talk about the importance of that if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, and those who are contributing to the academy are also contributing in a very real way to American diplomacy. Because diplomacy is done one-on-one. I mean, I've got over 30 years as a diplomat, and we can come up with policies, we can come up with slogans, but the fact is, effective diplomacy is done one-on-one. So when you contribute to an academy such as this, you're contributing to American diplomacy, because as I said, this is really the kind of thing that endears Americans to Nicaraguans. To take the time out, to try to help them learn our game, to educate them. This is extremely important from my perspective as an ambassador.
You know, this kid, Kenny, who won the contest, is almost like a Jack Armstrong story. You know, by sheer determination, overcomes almost every odd, and now he's going from literally playing in a cow field to playing at Chase Field. And what kind of inspiration do you think that would give to the other kids?
Well, obviously it'll be a tremendous inspiration. It'll be enormously inspiring to the kids of Nicaragua, as are the Nicaraguans in the big leagues. There are 3 Nicaraguans currently in the big leagues, and every day, whether they're playing in the major leagues or not, their names are in the paper. So this is something that almost every young Nicaraguan male aspires to do. They begin playing baseball as we do at 5 and 6 and 7 years old, and their dream, as our dream, is to reach the big leagues. And even if they don't, it provides them with a lot of exercise, it provides them with a discipline, it provides them with an idea of a team sport. So all of these things are very important.
Can I ask you too, so the kid lives in Oriental Market, which for most people, well actually for anyone who's never been to Nicaragua, which most of the people who see this, they would have no clue what that means, and he lives in basically a tenement. Describe what the kind of culture shock is and the difference between the Oriental Market and going to the United States and being a part of this, you know, getting to play in Chase Field.
Okay, well, he lives in the Oriental Market, which is one of the poorer barrios, as they're called, here in Managua. It's people who literally just scrape by. They tend to have menial jobs. They work very hard, but for very little compensation. And it's obvious that this young man's family puts a great premium on him learning to play the game of baseball. And it's important, again, we were talking earlier about about Nicaraguans, all Nicaraguans being inspired by this case, but you can imagine in his poor neighborhood how inspiring he will be to others. And you know, and to get back to that point, it keeps them healthy, it keeps them focused, because if they're good baseball players, they won't be tempted to fall into bad habits of drinking and drugs and that kind of thing, which is a temptation to anyone who's young, but especially those who are poor and young. So this is extremely important.
Well, I think I've told you that we are starting a pretty large equipment donation program, and we're working with a guy back in New York who's got an organization that includes Roberto Clemente's son.
Ah.
And within the next year, we could literally be sending 30 tons of equipment down here.
Wow.
And we want to distribute to kids all over the place. Can you talk about the importance of that?
Well, sure. The donation of equipment is enormously important. I have the opportunity to travel quite often in Nicaragua, and when I'm out in the countryside, the campo as it's called, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon, everywhere you look there's a ball game going on, and open pastures, that type of thing. I often stop and try to give them a few baseballs if I have a bat, because they're playing with virtually nothing. Plastic gloves, beat up old balls, and a donation of even used equipment is an enormous improvement what they have. So again, this will not only help them become better ball players, but you can imagine how it'll endear Americans to them as well.
One more quick question here. You know, you keep talking about the importance of baseball here. So what's the importance of the academy to Nicaragua? Is this one of the more important ventures being done down here? I mean, what would you describe this?
Well, I think it's very important because it's for all the reasons I described, but also because it's because Americans are doing it, because they'll get an education as well as training in baseball. And frankly, it's going to be an economic boom to them. This is a small economy, and an academy such as this will make a big difference. And if these kids if the academy starts producing kids to get to the professional leagues, the big leagues, you can imagine the difference it'll be. I've read about what's happened in the Dominican Republic, and it's extraordinary. And the financial benefits are extraordinary. I got this crisis going on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Not only will it train and educate kids, not only will it show America in a good light, but really, I think that over time it will have a very positive economic consequences for the country. We're talking about a country with a gross domestic product of $6.5 billion. You can imagine if the academy starts generating millions of dollars, what it'll do in that area, provide employment, and as these kids start getting to the minor leagues and even the major leagues, and the remittances, the money they send back, makes it a huge difference. And we've got a perfect example of it, the Dominican Republic, but they started 30 years ago. So in 30 years' time, it could have the exact same effect on this country as it's had on the Dominican Republic.
Now, a lot of the people we've met around here have said, getting an academy and actually getting it built, getting this thing built will be one of the most important ventures in Nicaragua in a long time, if not ever. And I know it seems a bit extreme. It's a lot of people. We've gotten that from quite a few different people. What would you say? Would you say?
Well, it's I don't know if it's the most important thing, but it's certainly important. There is no question about it. And for the very reasons I've just outlined, it's extremely important for our image, for the kids, for the economy, and not only the kids that are participating, but kids that see the others participating, because it'll give them an incentive to do the same thing. So it's extremely important.
My last question, I promise you. So this kid Kenny is getting to go to the United States. What does that mean to you? To know that we're sending kids. Somebody from like I said, the Oriental Market, just because we were there and it's so extreme. Like
Obviously, never been on an airplane.
No, he's probably rarely been out of Managua.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's the kind of incentive. The very fact that this kid, who's come from one of the poorest neighborhoods in Managua, participated in this home run derby, won it, and will be sent to the United States. This will be the biggest news in that barrio all year long. This is a tremendous undertaking and a great thing for this kid, for his neighborhood, and for Nicaragua, and frankly for us.
I would say, is it exciting for you though, just as an American and someone who loves baseball, to be able to spread the word and to get this kid like a hope to help it out? I mean, just as a baseball lover.
Absolutely, yes, it is. And that's a lot of joys of serving down here. But being a great fan and still, to a certain extent, player, not a great one by any means, of baseball, yeah, this is tremendous. I have a personal interest in it, I must say. And I want to thank all of you and those who are contributing to this as a nonprofit for what you're doing, because it is important for us and it's important for Nicaragua.
Thank you so much. It's always